because Krishna tells Arjuna, what is the worst enemy of the living entity, and what is the best friend of the living entity? So, what is the worst enemy of the living entity?
Uncontrolled mind.
Uncontrolled mind. And who is the best friend?
Controlled mind.
So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was, it mentions a case study, a history of a person. Many, many thousands and thousands of years ago, there was a Brahmana in Avantipur. Where is Avantipur today? Again, okay. So, Madhya Pradesh. Avantipur. So, this Brahmana in Avantipur, he was a very rich landlord. And he had so much of riches and wealth and riches. Equally, he was very stingy. He would not spend a paisa even for his family. What to talk about the beggars, the saints, and even the other creatures who would visit his doorstep. He would not spend anything. And he also had farmlands. So whatever crops he collected, in the bag you'll find a clip for this. Now, so whatever crops he had harvested, so he would have people working for him. So the fees he would not fees. What do you say? Salary he would give. He would be very careful in even giving 1 rupee extra in salary. Hmm? Thank you. Yeah. So he would not, in any how he would not spend any extra money for anything. Very stingy person. In this way, because he was not releasing anything, he was always thinking about how I can possess more and more. Mm. So he destroyed many of his relationships. The family didn't like him, his kids didn't like him, his relatives didn't like him. On Diwali or some special occasion, his relatives would visit him and they would give gifts. And return gift, he would only say thank you. He would not give anything. And they would say, see, we are giving you gifts, so it's a tradition that you give us back. He would ask them, who asked you to give me gift? You keep your gift. I don't want any gift. You can imagine what kind of person he was. So he always treasured money over relationships, over anything else. So one day, the situation flipped. That means everything went against him. Overnight, some robbers planned how to steal his all his money. He had a key to a safe where he was storing all his treasury. So they stole the key. They robbed him thoroughly, and he was almost left with nothing. And then he went to his family members. His family members had secretly taken all the property in their name, and they also left. And finally, he was supposed to give tax to the government, which he had skipped. So that is the time when tax collector came. And even the tax collector, when tax collector came, he asked him for any money, and now he was giving a story that I've been robbed, I don't have anything, my family has left me, and they said nothing doing. So they took the entire palatial home where he was living. They took that also. So literally within a few days, 1 to 2 days, he came to the streets. So that person who was a rich landlord, who had a palatial building, who was known for his money, so attached to money, wouldn't spend a farthing for anyone. That person within a few days' time was on the streets. Maybe you can always go behind the camera. Let us maybe wait for them to finish. It's- And these things have to be done beforehand. Huh? So in matter of days, this person came to the streets and he had nothing with him. So one thing we can learn is if we get attached to something which is temporary, we'll be the fool at the end of the tail, isn't it? Because it's going to go away from us. So now this Brahmana being on the street, now a realization struck his heart. He understood nothing in this world is permanent. And he understood the only thing, only shelter in this world is the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna. Because whom, I mean, you cannot say he depended on, but whom he thought he would depend on in such a situation, his family members, his wealth, his possessions, everything was taken away in matter of no time. So therefore, now he got this great realization that nothing in this world is dependable. You cannot depend on anything in this world. So he understood only the lotus feet of Shri Krishna is the only permanent thing. So then he took sannyas, this person. And now, we should not forget he had already had created very bad relationship with people around in the neighborhood, because he would never spend anything. So no one liked him. So now when he took sannyas, people thought he has taken sannyas just probably to make more money, isn't it? Like many of the sadhus, they take up saffron just to make some more money. And people would not treat him properly. He would go for food, and rather they would actually abuse him. They would spit at him and kick him out from the home. Mm. And if at all someone would give him some food, so they would send their children and make them pee on his food while he's eating. The true story. I'll not go to the next level what they did, but you can understand. They treated him the worst possible way. And an amazing part of the story is finally when all these things are happening to him, the Bhagavatam narrates what is going on in his mind. It is mentioned he never got affected by any of these things. Just imagine when you're sitting with your food and someone comes and pees in your food. At least you will slap that child or something. At least you will do something. This person was completely unaffected. How is that possible? And then he recites a prayer to the Supreme Lord. He says, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu na devatatma graha karma kala. That means, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu. Actually, the cause for my happiness and distress in this life is not people. I'm not sad or happy because of people around me. That means he's saying you cannot blame these people who are treating me badly. Na devatatma. Deva means it's not the demigods who are against me. Griha. Griha karma kala. It's not the family who are against me. It's not because of my karma I'm suffering. Generally, we say, no, if you're suffering, it's because of past actions. But he's saying it's not because of my karma I'm suffering. Nor is it because of the bad time. If something doesn't go our way, we say it's bad time going on. Good times will come. But he says it's not the time. Na devatatma graha karma kala. Then he says, Manah param karanam amananti samsara chakram parivartaye. The only reason behind being in this cycle of birth and death is because of the uncontrolled mind. If your mind is controlled, you can be in the worst of situations but not be affected by it. Or you can be in the best of situations and not get carried away by it. So it is the uncontrolled mind. That is his realization. So he was treated so badly, but he remained completely unaffected because he understood it is ultimately the mind who actually troubles the living entity. Mm. Like one lady in the US only, she called her boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't pick up, and because she called her multiple times and the boyfriend didn't pick up. Immediately, she attempted suicide. And after attempting suicide, she called a suicide hotline. And the other person on the hotline, he picked up the phone and he said, "How can we help you?" And she said, "I've already taken the rat poison." Rat poison. It's pretty deadly. Don't try it at home. And he said you should have called us before taking the rat poison. And of course, they rushed an ambulance to her place, and she was admitted into the hospital, and she was just saved. And they asked, "Why did you commit suicide?" She said, "Because I called my boyfriend and he didn't pick up the phone." And they said, "So what's the problem? Probably he would be busy in so many other things." She said, "No, I've seen so many movies when girl calls the boy and boy doesn't pick up phone. That means he's enjoying with another girl. You know, this is a real story. You see. So who tricked her? The mind, not the movies. Yeah. The mind tricked her. So in this way, the mind, uncontrolled mind, becomes the arch enemy of the living entity. The materialistic mindset keeps the living entity hooked onto the material world. It shows hopes in the material world, isn't it? That means milega, kuch na kuch milega. Despite failures, despite reversals, we feel no, no, there's something for me in this world. That is the mind. It is like, you jump from a building and you break your hands and legs. Then again, you're going to the top of a building. Your friend stops you and says, "Why are you trying? Just last time you had an accident. It didn't work out." He says, "No, no, I didn't jump properly." See, the movies say that if you jump, you can be like Superman, isn't it? It's uncontrolled mind. Despite reversals, we don't learn a lesson, and that is because of the mind. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna, this these excuses what you're giving, or for not fighting, the excuses what Arjuna is giving, or anxiety, or depression, loneliness, where does this take place in our personality? Where is this taking place? Any idea?
The mind.
Yeah, mind. Pretty easy. We're talking about the mind. All these things happen in the mind, and therefore we have to be very careful in trying to tame the mind properly. Mhm. It is said mind is like a knife, neither good nor bad. It depends on how we use it. If we feed wrong input to the mind becomes a devil. If you give good inputs to the mind, it becomes your saving grace. So what do we feed on a regular basis? Sometimes we are feeding horror through horror movies. And sometimes when you watch horror movie and sleep at night, immediately you get a horror dream at night, at nightmare. Immediately you're sweating when you get up in the morning. Mm. Or you're feeding fear because you keep hearing breaking news everywhere. H1B, what is going to happen? Shaky situation. So you're feeding fear into the mind. You're feeding all kind of these emotions, fear, horror, violence. Everything is fed into the mind. For example, someone was telling me that how are these terrorists made? Hmm. How are terrorists made? From the childhood, like just as in India we have Gurukul system, terrorists have their terrorist Gurukul system. From childhood they are fed that if if anyone is against their principles, they are as good as as worthy as to be dead. They don't deserve to live from childhood. So as they grow up, they even lose emotion. Even when they kill someone, they know strongly feel they did the right thing. Why? Because the mind is very, how can you say? You can say mind is very soft. Mm. That means it easily catches things when in childhood. The mind. Therefore, we have to give good training, good samskaras. So in childhood, if you feed wrong things to the to the mind takes up wrong habits. Therefore, we say in movies PG-13. Why is the censor board there? Why is all these things there? Because you cannot show the children certain things. It can negatively affect them, and therefore we are the ones creating demons in the society, isn't it? So therefore, the mind is something to be used for a better purpose, for a higher purpose. We have to be very careful what we feed into the mind. So Krishna tells Arjuna this uncontrolled mind is the living entity's worst enemy because uncontrolled mind deviates the living entity from the ultimate purpose of life. And that ultimate purpose is to love and serve God. But the mind says, no, look for something else. And therefore, mind becomes the arch enemy of the living entity. Can you read the purport?
The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga The practice of yoga for show is simple a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and its mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, awarenesses, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to
This
abide
one in
by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. The real yoga practice entails meeting of Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who
one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the Krishna. Okay, that's fine. So if you see up, that is above. You have to put it to ISKCON in YC.
Yeah, I did.
Did? Okay. I'll show you one verse. Sounds there? Okay. Haribo. So maybe before we proceed, maybe all of you can share. Have you ever observed mind tricking you
Yes.
on daily basis? When?
Sometimes this happens
In
like
the morning when you
yeah.
want to get up.
Today only it happened. Like
Okay.
when I had to come in the morning at 9
Yeah.
a.m. So I was thinking at 6:30, I should sleep for 10 minutes more. No, I should get up. For like that, I did wasted like 30 minutes in that deciding that.
Okay.
Eventually, I got up.
Good. Eventually defeated the mind.
Yes.
Okay, very good. That's a success story. I wanted defeat story. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone wants to share? Yeah. Want to share? Yes, Babu.
uh, like I I like sweets.
Mm.
Like recently, like 3 days back, I had cold. Generally, it is
Not
we are
recommended.
not recommended to take sweets during that time. But then there was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I have seen that whenever we fast from sweets, then the most favorite sweet will come that
yeah,
day.
true. I was like, okay, till my cold is gone, I'm not going to eat it. But then on that same day, it was there, so
Okay.
I had to eat it.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, kaju katli.
Okay.
Similarly, I
Very
was
good.
like
Yeah.
ordering a food
Very-
item, so I was like deciding whether to cook it or order. So eventually, I like thought like let's go to kitchen and cook it.
Hmm.
Then at the moment, I thought no, let's just order it.
Yeah.
We'll eat from outside only. Why to take so much
Correct.
stress to cook?
Very good.
This one was
Defeat story.
defeat.
Anyone else want to share? Yes, Babu.
I say mainly like while learning or while studying, the temptation to do anything but that is kind of
Yeah.
hard, and especially starting is one thing, but even continuing is another bigger challenge, especially when it gets pretty like heavy in the head. So I
Right.
feel like that's when the temptation to kind of watch something else, or like a quick break becomes a much longer break,
Yes.
and then to stop that and then go back to like studying or working, like that becomes challenging. So I feel like that's
Very
when
true.
the mind kind of tricks you and it kind of fails you from performing what you need to do.
Very good. Thank you. Very good. Sometimes a power nap becomes powerful nap. Yeah. Anything else? So many times we get tricked by the mind, almost constantly. At least 20 more we can get. Yes, online devotees. Yeah. Yeah. So any personal experience? Mm, correct. Very true. Thank you. Yeah. Anything else? Mm-hmm. What happened? Social media tricks you or mind tricks you? Yeah, here's the social media. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yeah, actually, social media is. You can use social media for the right cause. You can preach Krishna consciousness through social media, but then mind will trick you for sense gratification. Social media. Very true. Yeah. And you have something to say? Oh, share, please. Mike.
I think it was my company's holiday party, and I was only supposed to be there for 2 hours. And I ended up staying really late, like
Mm.
until 1 or 2, and I was talking to people and all of that. And next day, I couldn't attend my morning class because
Oh
you
yeah,
remember that I told you.
yeah. I got tired calling you.
So that was my one instance recently, actually, where I should have stopped at 2 hours. That was my hard stop. That I'll be back by 9:30, 10.
Very good.
But that time it was
Mm.
just like, no, maybe one more hour, one more. And I saw the watch and I was like, oh, it's 2 a.m. So
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
And generally you sleep by 10,
Um, I sleep at 10, 10:30.
10:30.
Otherwise, I won't be able to wake up in the morning.
Right.
So
Good.
yeah,
Thank you.
defeat story.
Yes.
I had a
Yeah.
I have a story as well. It actually happened last night. So there are things going on, have been going on in my family, which is making me feel very lonely because I'm not in
Hmm.
communication with them. So last night, I don't know, all of a sudden my mind started like fearing and giving me anxiety of, I'll be alone all my life and everything. And then because I attended the session last Sunday where you advised every time we are able to catch our mind getting uncontrolled, just nip it in the bud and just start chanting.
Hmm.
But I was chanting, but my mind, I could see my mind was so adamant. Like it was fighting against, you know, it was like I could hear my mind telling me that doesn't matter how much you chant, nothing is going to be good. And then
Yeah.
I was still, I was like, no, I have to chant. I have to, I was like, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and I was doing that. Again, my mind had even stronger voice saying that no, you will be defeated no matter what. You will feel lonely because I can see mind like rising up like a Ravan in front of me and like
Hmm.
saying that, oh, you can try whatever, I will defeat you, you know.
Yeah.
So last night it was quite quite a defeat for me because I was anxious even though I tried meditation like chanting, but I eventually slept and I woke up very tired this morning. But again, I think this morning was a victory because I told myself instead of again my mind going back into time and saying that I didn't have a great sleep, I have a new day. What can I do today? You
Hmm.
know, more chanting, but it was quite rough. And it is sometimes it's easy to even observe that in that time only. Oh, this is thoughts. These are thoughts only. That's it. But sometimes mind can be like it said over that mind can be so uh like not afraid.
Hmm.
In
Very good.
situations.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So in this way, we know clearly we all have experience of now we are being tricked by the mind. Mhm. So clearly, like the Avanti Brahmana said, mind is the cause of all suffering. Nayam janome sukha dukkha hetuhu. The sukha dukkha one experiences in this world because of the uncontrolled mind. It gets deviated by happiness and distress. So Prabhupada gives many important points in this purport. First of all, he says, why to control the mind? Uh, Because we want to discharge the human mission. What is the human mission? What is the human mission? Yes, to develop love for God. This is the ultimate purpose. To develop love for God. That's the human mission. Mm. And then he says, unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga is just a wait. It's just a show. It's a waste of time. That means the purpose of yoga is also one of the purposes is to control the mind. There is no question of progressing in spiritual life without controlling the mind. Mm. And therefore, you have see even Ashtanga yoga system or even any spiritual practice. There's something called as discipline. Why discipline exists? It is for the mind. Mm. Sometimes mind also says, since you're a devotee now you don't have to chant. Your mind can sometimes think of the craziest things. Mm. Or sometimes the mind is just put off. The mind can just, therefore it is called as chanchal. Chanchal means very flickering, and you cannot expect how your mind will behave. So fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam advises that you have to treat mind like a ferocious captured animal. Just imagine you just captured a leopard or a tiger. You have just put it in the cage, and it is, when you put the leopard or tiger in a cage, it becomes even more angry and is just pouncing upon the wall of the cage. Will you ever be casual enough or careless enough to leave the door open? Never. Because if you do so, you know the, you won't be alive to realize it. Isn't it? Why? It's very dangerous. So Bhagavatam advises mind is like that. You have to be very careful in making sure the mind is disciplined. So therefore, when you go to the army, you have very strict discipline. And in that discipline, what all do you train your mind for? You train your mind with punctuality, because mind has a tendency, an uncontrolled mind has a tendency to not be on time. It has a tendency. Just push it later on. Mm. If you have to do something by tonight, okay, kal kar denge. Isn't it? You have to learn something today, tomorrow we'll learn. Mm. We'll do the. You can always push it, procrastination, and you also get trained in waking up early, sleeping on time, waking up early, because the actually it is said if you can sleep on time, then you have a controlled mind. To sleep on time, you need a controlled mind or a good habit that mind doesn't have to worry. You just train your muscle memory or something that by 8:30, 9 o'clock on for us, maybe for you 10 o'clock, you automatically feel sleepy. You train your system, then you don't have to worry so much about it. But generally, in the beginning, you need a controlled mind to sleep on time. Otherwise, what will mind do? Like Arjuna's mind is giving excuse, our mind also gives excuses. Why not to sleep on time? Isn't it? Sometimes many students say, Prabhu, you tell me to sleep on time, but night time is the most productive time. Isn't it? Starting from 10 to 3, that's the most productive. Not according to Shastra. According to Ayurveda, it's the most unproductive time, because night time is predominated by mode of ignorance. In tamas, our productivity is always less. Hmm. Of course, when the exam is there next day, those things are there. But generally, I'm speaking on a more general basis. Nighttime is mode of ignorance. So therefore, usually what people would do is sleep early and get up early, because early morning is mode of goodness. That is the time when mind is in a position to seek. It's like seeking. It is a receiving mood. So you can feed the mind. Yes.
I heard somewhere that Prabhupada used to wake up at 12 a.m. and he used to write his books.
Yeah, correct. He used to sleep from 10 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was it tamas during the mode of
Yeah,
ignorance?
for actually for pure devotees, for them there is no, they are beyond rules and regulations. Yeah, they're not within the system of the three modes. Anyone who is beyond the three modes, they're called as transcendental. So pure devotees are transcendental. Even pure devotion like chanting Hare Krishna is transcendental. You can chant anytime, but we are not transcendental. We are in the three modes. So best is for us to chant in the morning. Try chanting at midnight. Before you complete your round, you'll be sleeping. Isn't it? So it doesn't work. So we are in tamas. Hmm? So um, what was I saying before this? So nighttime is tamas. So sometimes the mind says like that, don't sleep on time. And later on, do you repent? Of course. You regret, why did I listen to my mind? Isn't it? Like this, the mind always confuses the living entity. And the whole purpose of yoga is to discipline. Just like in army, you discipline the mind. In yoga, practice of yoga also we discipline the mind. Like when you perform yoga, anyone does yoga here? You do yoga? Okay, very good. Which yoga? Bhakti yoga? I meant you all do bhakti yoga, chanting Hare Krishna. Easy. Yeah, other yoga, Ashtanga yoga, like the asanas, a little pranayam. You do pranayam. Okay. Anyone does asanas? Asanas also. Okay. Like Surya Namaskar, like that. Okay. Sometimes if you do like 10, 12, 14 onwards, your life will get out of the body. It's so painful. But you have to do it. Like my doctor has told me to do yoga. So for last 2 months I'm doing. Whenever I have to start performing, doing the yoga, my mind screams not to do it. But I make sure I do it every day. And after the 10th one, mind is screaming like anything. So after every, one Surya Namaskar, I have to wait for 1-2 minutes to calm down my mind. It was very painful. Just like really certain muscles get really strained so much. So, but you still do it, isn't it? So therefore, in the Ashtanga yoga system, you can see asanas come before controlling the mind. That means initially comes yam niyam, rules and regulations, the do's and the don'ts. This is it for the body? Body is dead, isn't it? For the mind which is uncontrolled, because mind wants to get into wherever it wants. If you want to eat, it wants to eat whatever you want to eat. Whatever you see, you want to eat. If you want to sleep, you want to sleep whenever you want. So in the practice of yoga, they say no, sleep from this time to this time. In this time to this time, you have to be active. Eat only this, don't eat that. This do's and don'ts are yam niyam. Then come pranayam and asanas. That means now you are training your body and your breathing process. By doing so, mind becomes calm down. Mm. And then comes fifth one is pratyahara. Pratyahara means that is the time when mind and body is calmed down. You can withdraw your senses from sense object, because by then you have come to a mode of goodness. So you can withdraw it. And then sixth, seventh, eighth steps are all based on meditation. So now people say, yeah, I do meditation, but have you done the previous homework? Have you disciplined the mind? Only then you can do meditation. First comes discipline, isn't it? So therefore, the students who stay here in our BYS ashram at the temple, so we tell we all have to sleep by 9:30, and morning we get up by 4, and strict. We are very strict about it, and we have to be in Mangalarti by 4:30. Mm. Of course, you get the fruit of it. Beautiful darshan of Shri Radha Govinda early in the morning. It's worth getting up early for it. But at the same time, we are pretty strict, and we only take prasadam which is cooked in the temple. We don't purchase anything from outside, and we are very careful whom we associate with. We don't associate with people who speak foul language, who watch dirty movies, whose consciousness is pretty low, because we get affected by association, isn't it? So like this, we also have a schedule where we have to study Srila Prabhupada's books. So in this way, we are training the mind to be disciplined, which is very important for progress in spiritual life. Mm. So now Prabhupada is saying here, yeah. Prabhuji, can I ask a question? Sure. I hope I can finish the purport today. Yes, after your question, I'll finish. Please ask. Uh, what is the rationale, or what is the deeper objective behind mind being like this? The nature of mind being very chanchal. Very good question. Actually, I was coming to that only. See, now you can see what on the highlighted portion on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, that there Prabhupada gives the answer to your question. Can you read loudly?
Me?
Yeah.
As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc.
Yeah. So why is the mind chanchal? Hmm. Actually, in the creation, if you study the creation of subtle body, mind is said to be in mode of, what do you think? Which mode is mind situated in? In creation, it is said it is situated in the mode of goodness. Yeah. Mind isn't supposed to be in mode of goodness. Why? It seems to be impassionate because it's always moving, it's always flickering, it's very obstinate. It is said that it's in actually it's by nature it's in mode of goodness because mind has to follow dictation of someone. That's what Prabhupada said here. You can see. You see the okay. Prabhupada said that the constitutional position of living entity carry out the order of superior, but mind also has to follow the dictation of someone. Mhm. So therefore, mind by nature is very submissive. If you don't make it submissive to the intelligence, then it becomes submissive to the lust, anger, greed stored in the mind. And it is the lust, anger, greed, the anarthas in the mind that makes the mind completely agitated. So if you take the mind, the contaminated mind, therefore Krishna is saying uncontrolled mind or contaminated mind is the worst enemy. Because why is it uncontrolled? Because there are these elements, lust, anger, greed. So they disturb the mind. For example, if you're not greedy for money, will you be disturbed? Your friend comes and says, "Hey, I got a job worth, I'm earning six figures, like 250,000 per annum." Will you be disturbed? You'll be happy, because you're not greedy for money. You're happy, you're satisfied with whatever you have. So it doesn't agitate you. But if you're greedy for money, you're only earning 80 per annum and your friend is earning 250, definitely you'll be disturbed. Why? Greed is there. Hmm. You able to understand? Or you guys go to Times Square somewhere and you see someone very attractive, then you get agitated. Mind gets agitated. Why? Because lust is there. If there is no lust, why would you get agitated? What is agitating the mind? There is no lust. It's because lust is there, mind gets agitated. Does that make sense? Similarly, when someone doesn't do or when things don't go your way, you become very angry because anger is there. Hmm? It is not that things outside make us angry, make us lusty, make us greedy. Lust, anger, greed is inside. The outside objects become a stimuli to bring lust, anger, greed outside. Like one devotee said, Prabhu, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I thought I was very, you know, nice person, but now I feel after coming to Krishna consciousness, I can see my lust more. I think I've become more lusty after practicing Krishna consciousness. So the devotee told him, actually, you have not become more lusty. You have realized that you have lust now. Outside people don't even know what is lust, anger, greed, isn't it? They don't even know. So these are the things, these anarthas agitate the mind and make it uncontrolled. Is that clear? So if we overcome the anarthas, if there are no anarthas, how will the mind be? Very submissive, very calm. There's no agitation. Mm. And in second chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, Sthita Prajna, one who is fixed in consciousness, is like that. There are many material desires, like desires go because you're constantly interacting with the environment. So many desires enter our consciousness, our mind. But one who is fixed in consciousness, he doesn't get agitated. Just as rivers entering ocean, the ocean doesn't get agitated. It remains almost the same. So therefore Krishna says, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. That person who looks at the desires and neglects it, he is more peaceful than that person, than the other person who looks at the desires and strives to fulfill it. Sashanti mapnoti, not kamakami, na kamakami, not the one who fulfills desires, the material desires. So, therefore, now we have understood mind is uncontrolled. The basis of the uncontrolled mind is lust, anger, greed, because of which mind has become an obstacle for us to progress, or for us to go get closer to our ultimate goal of developing love for God. And of course, practically speaking, an uncontrolled mind is a nuisance, an obstacle for whatever we want to do in life. So we saw that mind requires some disciplining. Mm. So spiritually speaking, actually materially speaking, mind cannot be controlled on a material platform. Mm. By the way, it can only be controlled by a spiritual process. Whatever you might do, you can only calm the mind. Like yogic, like in the Yoga Sutra, one way to control the mind is by deep breathing, because mind and breath, they are connected. So if you do deep breathing, mind calms down. Or what else you can do is, yeah, usually they do deep breathing to control the mind in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. But there's actually a way to control the mind. Can anyone say what is now? How do we understand how to control the mind? If the mind is agitated always, that means uncontrolled, is going here and there. How do you control the mind? Yeah,
Chanting Hare Krishna.
yeah. What do you have to explain how?
I think just the words itself, like when we like it promotes awareness in the mind. So just listening to ourselves saying Hare Krishna itself probably like makes like forces our mind to be aware on our own voice,
Okay, be
and
aware of our own voice. Okay,
yeah, and that kind of prevents us from going anywhere else.
correct. Okay, you are talking about the ultimate solution.
Mhm.
I'm asking, say now we want to approach this problem of controlling the mind. So just like in your computer science, any engineering problem, now you want to, you're coming for a solution. How do you attack a problem? First, you understand what is the problem that is causing the mind to be uncontrolled, agitated. So now, if you want to understand the solution, what do you have to take care? What do you have to do so the mind is controlled?
Reduce LAG.
Redirection.
Yes, reduce, overcome lust, anger, greed, isn't it? Does that make sense? Yeah. So you have to overcome lust, anger, greed, and that is done by chanting Hare Krishna.
Mm.
Yeah. So chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is called as like I meant Hare Krishna Mahamantra is called as Mahamantra. Because it is the great mantra for this age for deliverance of the living entity from all anxieties. Mantra, man means the mind, tra means trayate, to free the mind from all kinds of anxieties is possible with chanting Hare Krishna. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam means the mind is considered to be like contaminated mind. It's considered to be a very dusty mirror. Now, if you look at yourself in a dusty mirror, can you really understand who you are, how you look? No, because dusty mirror, you will get a distorted, a vague, a hazy picture of yourself, isn't it? So similarly, the contaminated mind doesn't allow us to understand who am I, and therefore we think I am the hero, I am engineer, I am doctor. And we have so many identities, but we are not able to understand I am spirit soul. We are not able to understand my connection with Krishna. Why? Because the mirror is dusty. So what do? Take a damp cloth, a wet cloth, and wipe the mirror. You have seen those ads, like washing powder Nirma. You have dirty cloth, and the Nirma one sponge goes through, isn't it? Complete white, Mm, something like that. Now you take a wet cloth and wipe the mirror. Now you see it's completely clear. Then you see, okay, this is how I look. And I was thinking myself as something else, but actually I'm only servant of Krishna. Oh, sorry, not servant of Krishna. I'm actually servant of the servant of Krishna. So I'm servant of all the servants of Krishna. This is my real position. So how to come to that understanding? When we cleanse the mind of lust, anger, greed. So chanting of Hare Krishna is that damp cloth. More we chant attentively, more we can cleanse the mirror of the heart. So Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. And more we understand I'm the spirit soul, I'm not this body, more the material fire, the fire of material existence, seems to calm down. The troubles the living entity undergoes in the material life, everything seems to calm down. more we realize our spiritual identity. And therefore, chanting Hare Krishna is the best way to control the mind and the senses. That is one spiritual solution. Okay. And Krishna also tells in the third chapter, which we've already done, if anyone remembers, he gives tips to control the mind. Any idea? And those of you who have attended the third chapter, sorry, to whom? To any deity. You can surrender to mind, it's already done. Say it to Krishna. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What is the human mission? Love. Supreme love, nahi? Love for the supreme. Huh? Given. So who is that supreme? How can you love the supreme whom you do not know? Krishna. Oh, you say Krishna. Right? So now that you know the supreme is Krishna, so surrender to whom? Correct, no? Okay. Yeah. First of all, we have to know who is the supreme. Yeah. So what is the supreme?
I have a question, Prabhu.
Okay.
In lust, anger, greed, where does fear fits into? Is it a subset or a fear is something separate from lust, anger, greed?
It is usually like lust, anger, greed is the basis, but you also have pride, envy, illusion. This all comes from like when the lust is not fulfilled. Lust means what? Tendency to enjoy oneself. So if lust is not fulfilled, leads to anger. Lust is fulfilled, leads to greed. When anger is not fulfilled, leads to envy. So like that, it leads to one many things. Yeah. So like that, fear also comes. What is usually fear? I mean, where is that fear? It comes from lust only. How I can enjoy, because the I is very big. How I can enjoy. So it is as soon as we put the spotlight on us, then there is fear. What is usually fears about? How will I take care? What will happen to me? It's all about oneself, right? So that comes under how I can enjoy, basically. But more we worry about Krishna, how Krishna can enjoy. Usually there's no fear, isn't it? Like many of the students, they are sometimes nervous to speak in public. Seen that? Now, when they come to devotional service, when they come to Krishna consciousness, they also become big speakers. They can also speak well because now they don't care how. It's not about them. It's not that I am a big speaker. Now, it's the most important thing is what am I speaking? What I'm speaking, is it pleasing to Krishna? So the focus is turned to Krishna. Hmm? Does that make sense? Hmm. Okay. So attentive chanting means Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hmm. Attentive chanting means hearing every syllable. Hare Krishna, Hare, every 32 syllables. Hearing every syllable is attentive chanting. Hmm. Actually, you will find like some of you do coding. How many of you do coding here? Okay, many of you do coding. You have seen sometimes there is that one bug doesn't go. All the other bugs go away. Now, sometimes trying to solve that bug, other bugs also come, isn't it? So, like that, your time goes 1 hour past, 2 hour past, 10 hours past. You're still solving, and your friend is coming and looking at you from time to time. He's saying, "Hey, why? Breakfast time chala gaya, lunch time chala gaya. At least take dinner." You're saying, "No, no, wait, abhi ho gaya." Correct now. So you're getting some taste in coding, isn't it? Correct now. Get taste in coding. Actually, coding there's no taste. What is giving that feeling of taste is absorption. When you're absorbed in any activity, you don't generally want to pull out of that activity. It could be any activity. So just take chanting like that. Just chant with absorption. If you chant with absorption, usually we don't want to pull out. The very fact that we want to pull out even after chanting for 5 minutes, why? We are not absorbed. We are thinking of thousand other things. Usually we plan our day during chanting. Mhm. We usually, we solve issues during chanting. Why did that Prabhu look at me like that? The other person, he came yesterday but didn't even smile at me. We are solving issues. Okay, today I have to send mail to this person and that person. So we are solving issues, we are doing all kinds of problem solving, planning the day, or whatever it is. That means there's no absorption. So when you are coding, are you planning? Are you solving any other issue than coding? No. Therefore, you get absorbed. That's where attention comes. So if you can just focus, help your mind focus on every syllable and just get into it, then that absorption comes. Then you will be chanting and you are saying, I mean, my God, I'm not able to stop chanting, isn't it? Then 4 rounds done, 8 rounds done, right? And even the magical number of rounds done, 16 rounds done, easily, easily. If you're attentive, it's easy. Hmm? The chanting becomes very difficult, or any activity becomes very difficult when the mind is inattentive. Then why? Because you are, it's not just you have to focus on the work, you also have to put energy in putting the mind to the work. That's where the challenge becomes tougher, because the mind is not cooperating. So just basically keep your distractions away, and you can tell your mind, one thing you can do is postpone your activity, other activities. You can tell the mind, my dear mind, now next 1 hour, don't think you're student of NYU, you're working here, working there, your parents are going to call, everything is fine for next 1 hour. You go, you tell the mind, I'm ready to address all these issues, but after the 1 hour. So in that way, you're postponing the mind, mental whatever mind is worried about. So then you can focus better. That's one way, postponing. Or you can cajole the mind. Cajoling the mind means you say, my dear mind, please, just one mantra, just one mantra you chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Just one more. Like that you can go on. It's cajoling the mind. And then what is the other one? Beating the mind. Beating the mind is, yes, you should come in the morning, you'll see how devotees are beating their mind. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's a big war zone. Yeah, sometimes mind requires beating. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has said, when you get up in the morning, beat your mind 100 times with a broomstick. And before you sleep, beat your mind 100 times with a shoe. Yeah. How? Morning, as soon as you get up, get into chanting. That's beating the mind. And so that's how you tame the mind. Hmm? So these are three ways. What are three ways? Postpone your worries, cajole the mind, and or beat the mind. Somehow get into chanting. That's okay. Okay. So anyway, so the spiritual solution, what the Shastra says, mantra is already given, and for Kali Yuga, Kali Santana Upanishad talks about Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. More we chant, more we train the mind. It is all about how you train the mind. Why is mind uncontrolled today? Because we have trained the mind also to be uncontrolled. Just like a spoiled child of a rich man. mm, Why is he spoiled? Because the father always gave him whatever he wanted. Now he doesn't know what to do when things don't go his way. He is called a spoiled child, isn't it? Because everything went his way. So when failure comes, I cannot handle it. Suicide, isn't it? No. So therefore, what we have to do is train the mind. It's not too late. We have only listened to our mind for maybe 25, 26 years. We still have at least 50 more years to go. You can untrain the mind the wrong ways and train the mind in the right ways. So now you tell the mind, okay, today I'm going to sleep at this time. And the problem in our life is not just the mind, there will be people also who support your mind. That means you're telling your mind, today I have to sleep early, then your friend comes exactly the time you're going to sleep, isn't it? So you have to be careful, of those things also. Somehow or the other, set a schedule and try to follow it. That's, you are disciplining the mind like that. And make sure in the morning you have a quota of time where you give time for chanting Hare Krishna. Mm. Chanting Hare Krishna is chanting names of Krishna. It is a spiritual sound vibration. Spiritual sound vibration has a deeper impact. Like if you go to a temple and hear Vedic Shruti mantras, you have seen the calming effect. It's like so transcendental. Similarly, when we chant Hare Krishna, it has deep impact, and there are scientific research to show that. Maybe next time I can show you. Some research papers are there. The effect of chanting Hare Krishna on the mind. There's also research on how sound affects water. Like different sounds you produce, it produces different ripples on water. You've seen that? Anyone seen that before? It's a very famous research. So sound impacts matter. So similarly, spiritual sound has a deeper impact, and it can awaken the soul to the real purpose of life. Otherwise, when we do not pursue real purpose of life, we are called as Jivan mm, api mrito hi saha. That means we are acting in this world, or we seem only to be alive, but actually we are dead. Mm. We are called as dead although alive. So therefore, we have to pursue the ultimate purpose, and that is to develop love of God. With uncontrolled mind, this is impossible. Mm. So when we take up, at least if someone is not chanting anything, you can at least start with chanting 10 minutes. If you're chanting 10 minutes or one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you can double it. If you are doing 2 rounds, then you can double it 4 rounds. You're doing 4 rounds, then you can double it 8 rounds. Isn't it? Like that you can chant 16, you can pause. Then you can improve quality. Mm. So like that, if you take up this spiritual practice, many people say that by chanting, I lose time. Where is the time to chant? But we don't say losing time. We say investing. Invest means what? Is it the loss? Investment. Sometimes you have to give money as investment. That means returns are more, isn't it? How many of you believe in investment? Yeah, yeah. That means you have to invest time. So I'll just conclude with this one story and one verse. Next verse will seal the deal. So there was one woodcutter. This woodcutter was a very passionate woodcutter. He wanted to cut the maximum number of trees, and he was given an axe to do it. So the first day he cut about 10 trees in the span of 1 hour. So then next day he cut 12 trees because he got used to cutting. Then third day he cut 14 trees. Now you know where it's going. Now fifth day, how many trees did he cut? What do you think? What happened? Disconnect. Okay. Yeah. How many trees did he cut? Huh? Less than 10. Very good. How do you know? Yeah, sharpness of axe is also getting blunt. People actually told him, "My dear sir, you have please take out some time to sharpen your axe." He said, "No time. I have to cut. I have to cut the trees." But he's not seeing if I don't take out time, I'm losing more time. You can understand because he's not ready to take out time to sharpen his axe. He's losing time in cutting the trees. So what should he do now? Take his axe, sharpen it. It will take some time, no problem, but sharpen it. Now with that sharp axe, can he cut more trees? Yes. And the next day after sharpening his axe, he cut 20 trees. Isn't it? So therefore, similarly, sometimes when we chant, mind will say, "Arey, chanting karna hai, time nahi hai," isn't it? But you have to chant because chanting will sharpen your mind. It will control the mind. With a controlled mind, you have better control over time. That means by giving time to chanting, you get more time. You understand? By giving time to chanting, you get more time. You don't lose time. Otherwise, we are losing time. With uncontrolled mind, efficiency is like 5%. Controlled mind, efficiency is 95%. That means less time. So now I'll show you now next verse, and this you will understand why controlling the mind is important. Jidat mana prashantasya. Oh, you don't have it. You can take out 6.7. Raman singing here. Oh, he was giving. Okay. You got 6.7? Okay. Jitatmana prashantasya परमात्म समाहितः शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः. Okay, can one of you read? Who was the mic? Quickly.
One who has
Yeah.
conquered the mind, the superstore is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Yes. So one who has controlled the mind, for him, Paramatma has already been reached. That means there are two voices in the head. Hmm? Of course, I'm not talking about mind and intelligence. There's one of the mind, but there's Paramatma also speaks. Ever heard of the sound of Paramatma before? No? It's because mind is screaming a lot. You're not able to hear the Paramatma. So therefore, one who has controlled the mind, that means mind is now chup, not saying anything. Then you can connect with God inside. Krishna is situated in our hearts as Paramatma. Ishwar Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Krishna says in 18th chapter, 1861. Krishna tells Arjuna, I'm seated in every living entity's heart as the Paramatma. From the region of the heart, Krishna is giving us forgetfulness. When we don't want to follow, when we don't want to practice Krishna consciousness, Krishna will make you forget that you have to chant today. The next day you'll realize that, hey, I didn't chant yesterday. It's okay, no problem. Because you never wanted to chant, so Krishna will give you forgetfulness. But if you're sincere, Krishna will give you remembrance. And you have to chant today. Sometimes I went to bed, but I had one round chanting. When I was closing my eyes, I just felt, I just got this thought, did I complete my rounds? And I saw one round was remaining. So who is giving that thought? Paramatma gives. Hmm? And if you don't know about Krishna consciousness, but you're still innocent, that means you're receptible, and that time Krishna gives you knowledge. Yes, there is something called a spiritual life. This all Krishna does while being situated in the region of the heart. This Paramatma's function. And his other function is Upadashta Anumantacha. He is seeing all your activities. He doesn't blink. You might sleep, but he doesn't blink or sleep. That is Upadashta. Anumantacha means he is sanctioning your desires. You have a certain desire. I want to do this. If according he checks your karmic account. If you deserve it, he'll sanction it. And then you can perform that desire. So these are the 5 functions of Paramatma. So you can connect with that Paramatma only when the mind is controlled. So what we'll do, we'll pause here. I'll show you 1715 and we'll discuss more on 1715 next time. I'll show you. Is the austerities of the mind. Now practically what you can do or what are we supposed to do. You can take out 1715 here. Is it 1715 or 1716? 16, no? Okay. Yeah, 16. Uh-uh. Yeah, you have the verse with you? Okay. 17.16. Now, Krishna in 17, 14, 15, 16 talks about 3 types of austerities: austerities of the body, austerities of speech, and austerities of the mind. Hmm. So, we will not discuss now body and speech, we'll discuss about the mind next time. I'll just introduce this verse now. Hmm. This is how you can control the mind. Okay. You have the verse with you? Yeah, 1716. Manah prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. Yeah, so mind has to become austere. These are austerities for the mind. Tapo manasamuchyate. What are the austerities for the mind? What are the austerities? You don't like it, but it's good for you. That's austerity. Hmm. Okay, first one is manaprasada. What is manaprasada? Satisfaction. Satisfaction of the mind. That means when the mind is satisfied, you will be happy. We are not happy today. Like one person came to me and he said, Prabhu, I have a job now, but I'm looking for other opportunities. And I'm just, so confused. What should I do next? Which company should I apply to? I said, what are you worried about? People don't have jobs. You have a job in this job market. So be satisfied. He's worried about other jobs. Isn't it? Manaprasada. Learn satisfaction. Be satisfied. Otherwise, you can have the wealth of the entire world, still you won't be happy because mind is not satisfied. Mind just wants more. Dil mangi more. Manaprasada. Saumyatvam means being simple, simplicity, without duplicity to others. Maunam, gravity of thought. You have seen sometimes, you just like to laugh. Have you seen that? Like for no reason, just laughter comes. I was also like that before. People thought I'm crazy. I thought I was crazy. I mean, sometimes I don't know why am I laughing. There's no good reason. This is uncontrolled mind. Mm. Mind just, or you like to imagine something in your mind, like in our Newport program, Laukik was explaining. No? Someone is going, you just want to hit him on the head. You're imagining all this. You want to hit on the head and think, what will happen if I do like this? It's all uncontrolled mind. So therefore, it has to be grounded. That is called as gravity of thought. Mm. Like there's a saying in English, empty vessels make much noise. That means if someone is keep on blabbering, 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 that means there's no head. There's not much thinking going on. So why? Because when you think, you increase gravity. If you're always thinking before you speak, and then your words also have value. That means whatever we do in life, due thought has to be given. And see life with a little more serious perspective. Not too serious that you become like a, no one likes to talk to you. But I'm saying gravity has to be there. Not too much hasi mazak and not too frivolous, not too restless. Yeah, anyway, we'll discuss next time. Next time. Maunam and Atma Vinigraha means self control. And Bhava Samshuddhi, that means purification of one's purification. That means mind has to be purified, or mind should be used for purification of the self. So we'll discuss these five things. Tapah Manasam Uchyate. So what is it? Can someone read the translation?
And
Yeah.
satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind.
Yes. So this is what we have to practice. This is good for the mind. If you do this, mind will be so peaceful you can actually do what you want. I mean, pursue Krishna consciousness. What you want. That's what really we want. Mm, Okay. I'm very tempted to go into the purport, but next time we'll go. So, do anyone have any questions or anything to say? Yeah. You don't have to control it, you have to get rid of it. Chani Hare Krishna. Yeah, sometimes because it becomes hard when you do it alone, you're not doing an association of devotees, and it also becomes hard depending on how much you've conditioned yourself to lust and greed. That means if you have always succumbed to lust, now the mind will propose a lusty idea. Now to say no to the mind is almost difficult, impossible, because we have always succumbed to it. So mind does not know this different action of saying no. you know. So therefore it becomes more difficult. But everything becomes easy in Kali Yuga in association of Vaishnavas. Mm. We all chant daily in the morning for 2 hours. You can join us sometime. There you come. 6 o'clock we start chanting from 5:30 to 7:30. You can join in the morning. We also have darshan at 7:30 and breakfast at 9 o'clock. Powerful program, isn't it? You can tell your mind, why not? You only live 30 minutes away from here. Yeah. You have such a good opportunity. If you're really serious to control the mind, you have to do it. Well, it's easy. Then it's easy. But the problem is, Prabhu, I cannot get up early. Prabhu, I have to travel. You know, and all that. You have to do it. If you really want something, you have to be. You have to do the needful. So in Kali Yuga, anything you want to achieve in association becomes very easy. And Sri Prabhupada has established ISKCON centers like this across the globe just for one purpose of giving this association, so that like-minded people can come together. Because otherwise, where are spiritual people coming together? That's the whole purpose. Hmm? Yes. Gaudiya means the Bengal Vaishnavas. The Bengal region is called the Gaudiya Desh. Hmm? So they're called as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Well, we don't care which Vaishnava, American Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava, African Vaishnava, Vaishnava only. Isn't it? Doesn't make any difference. Any other? Okay, so I hope it was.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
I have shared one small paragraph of one book which I'm reading right now, which is related to today's session. So
Okay.
if you can just narrate that paragraph.
Okay, so you have shared on my WhatsApp?
No, on the chat.
On the chat? Okay. You want me to read it out?
If you can, yes.
Okay, let me see.
Related to the mind and why we took birth.
Oh, this is from where?
It is from the book Kundalini Tantra.
Kundalini Tantra. I mean, I'm not sure if I agree with the, goal of Kundalini Tantra. So,
No, but it is
yeah.
literally related to the
do this thing.
teachings of Bhagavad Gita. If you can just read it, and if you like it, then just explain.
Okay. Um. Okay, let's see this. Okay, even in this human body, we still have an animal within us, so these natural urges follow us. Let them, but remember this body is not for the fulfillment alone. In this human body, the consciousness is the most important point. Man is aware of his awareness, as he does not only think, he knows that he thinks. The evolution of his awareness has been going on life after life. And what you have been practicing of for your spiritual life in the last 5 to 10 years is in addition to what you have already done. Yeah, right. Okay, happy. I read it for you.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, yes, Mataji.
If you have time, you had on the WhatsApp, you had shared the quadrant about happy, old, unhappy, and new.
Yeah.
Would you have time to go over that briefly now?
Yeah, I can tell you in 1 minute. Give the phone. It basically says if you're happy and young, generally what people do, or happy and is just generally what's about. Yeah. If you're happy and you're new, that means young. Then seek, that means explore and learn. Hmm. If you're happy and you're old, that means generally what people do. If you're happy and you have spent time in this world, you appreciate. And if you're old and unhappy, that means you've become old and you're not happy with the things, learn to let go. Hmm. And you're happy with certain things how they're going on, and you're young, learn to tolerate them. Does it need explanation? I mean, I thought it was pretty straightforward.
No, it's
No?
fine. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I was looking at that picture, I had a different interpretation, like old is old memories and new is new memories.
Okay.
So is it on memories and it's the age?
I thought it was age. I mean, memory is something more specific. I think it was if it was memories, people would tell it's old memories and new memories. Right? No?
If we ponder on memories, is it not thinking about the wrong thing?
Yeah. Couldn't leave it. I mean, anyway, if it's not helpful, I thought it was helpful, so I posted. But I don't. No one gave a thumbs up for it. So I think I should remove it. I'll delete the post. I thought it was nice. Just to keep the group alive. I don't. Otherwise, nothing Krishna conscious about it. That's
No,
why I said.
it definitely had questions. That's why it
Okay,
was brought up
I'll
in the
remove it.
No, no, don't remove it. I said it definitely uh, made questions like come up in this meeting. So
Okay.
definitely it was worth to be there.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Srimad
you.
Bhagavad Gita ki. Sri Prabhupada ki. Have beats. Hey, kidhar hai? So let's chant because we spoke so much on chanting. Chanting is very important.